There's an outpouring of abundance, New doors have been opened. The land, it is green. A new grace has been released. The glory of the latter is greater than the former. The blessing is here. It's all here. Lift up your hands, come on. The glory of the latter is greater than the former. The blessing is here. It's all here. All here. There's an overflow. Abundance of favor.
Hello, everyone. You're welcome to this evening session of the Winning in Parenting Conference. It's such a delight to be here. I mean, the first session we had was super insightful. It was all shades of amazing. There were so many things to take home. And, that was just a fantastic way to begin this conference. And we are on to the next session. I tell you, when it comes to parenting, all right, learning is ongoing. We can't just sit somewhere and assume, especially in the world we live in today, we can't just sit somewhere and assume we have it all together. And so we have all of these programs put together to bring us rich premium parenting value that would help you enjoy ease in your parenting journey. So this evening, so if you missed the last session, it was really good. I mean, those are things you really want to hear as a parent to set you on the right path. So you can get the replay on my YouTube channel. And if you're not subscribed, please do. And don't forget to tap the notification bell so that you get prompts when each session is about to go live. So this evening, I have somebody very special with us that will be speaking to us about how we can help enhance the academic performance of our children. We all know that so many things are vying for the attention of our children in these times that we're in. And it will be so good to learn from a school director. This is not just a school director who is in for, whatever it is to get out of it, but this is somebody who is seasoned, somebody who is passionate about the education of children. So I'm going to bring her profile up and then I would welcome her into the studio. Welcome, everyone. Sit back and enjoy this jolly ride. Thank you. Adaora Joshua is an accounting graduate and commenced her career in the telecom sector at Airtel, where she spent over 6 years in the operating expenses and revenue and financial control divisions of the Finance Directorate. She thereafter followed her passion with a career switch to the educational sector, where she undertook a postgraduate certification and a master's degree in education. Her education experience spans over a decade in the early years, elementary, school leadership, and administration. She is currently the founder and director at the Future Trove School, Lekki Phase 1, and is passionate about children learning exceptionally, discovering their giftings and talents early, nurturing it, and making positive contributions and impacts in their world. She actively supports families to empower their children to thrive and excel and contributes to parenting communities. She is happily married with 2 children. Adaora Joshua. Wow. So we have heard about our guest tonight. So you are welcome, ma'am. Good evening. Good to have you with us this evening at the Winning in Parenting Conference. You
Good evening.
are welcome.
Good evening. I'm happy, excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. It is such a privilege and honor to have you speak to us this evening. So I'm just going to, I know you have a lot you want to dish out to us. And I must commend your school, the Future Trove School. I mean, when I stumbled on the page on Instagram, I'm like, okay, so this is somebody that understands the assignment of how a child's learning environment should be. So, once again, a very warm welcome to you, ma'am. So, I'm going to leave you in the studio so that you can do justice to the topic we have before us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the convener of this conference, the Winning in Parenting Conference, Mrs. Sandra Uluwadari. Thank you once again for the opportunity to share my journey, both as a mom and as an educator. I've been asked to speak on the topic enhancing the academic performance of children, the role of parents. It's parenting is something I am passionate about. Reason also being that I have my own children, and being an educator, I had some ideas of how to go about it. But parenting is a different ball game altogether, and so I had to bring together the intersection of mom and intersection of education and meet it in the middle point. So I've been asked to speak about enhancing the academic performance of children, the role of parents. Today we have a set of children who probably we've never had before on the face of the earth. Reason being that they are the first set of children who are born into the digital age. And so the things that we grew up wanting and knowing is very, very different from them. And this goes a long way in affecting or influencing their academic performance. For example, when I went to school, most of our parents were either civil servants or a handful of them worked for uh, in the private sector, and another handful owned their businesses. But most parents were civil servants at the time. And there were a lot of things that we really didn't get to have just like that. And so there was a lot of incentive. You know, you had to, if your parents would say, oh, if you come first, you're going to get this. If you come in the top five, I'm going to take you there. I'll take you to, and it wasn't big things then. It wasn't like today you'll go to Disneyland and, you know, go everywhere and eat everything you want to eat. So we have our children today who are born into the world and they have almost everything it is that they want. And there's really no incentive for them to do it. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to do so much, to eat a lot of food. They don't have to do so much to have a lot of things to eat. They don't have to do so much to have all the lovely clothes. They don't have to do anything at all. That is our reality. So how do you challenge this kind of children? How do you enhance their academic performance? What is an incentive for a child who already has practically everything they want without having to sweat or put in an extra work for it? Now, to enhance means to further improve, increase the value of something, get more out of it. On the other hand, on the flip side of it is a UNICEF report that was released November last year. The report was about children, really was taken from about 21 countries, and Nigeria ranked as the number one country whose children felt under the most immense pressure in the whole world to succeed globally. Now, this, I don't know if it's a shock to you, but when I first heard about it, I thought, oh, wow. As much as we want our children to do well academically, the dynamics of the kind of children we have on our hands today is really, really very different. So going into the discussion, I started to discuss and talk about really what are we looking for the children who already have almost everything they want. What should we really be looking for? What is going to enhance their academic performance? What's going to be an incentive for them? Perhaps the need for this generation is very different from the needs of our own generation, and we have to take that into consideration when we are dealing with our children or engaging with them or demanding enhanced academic performance for them. So we all want our children to be great. We want them to be the new founders, to discover something, invent something. I'm going to tell you, as an educator and as a mom, it starts with the little things that we do on a daily basis that lead up to, that build a lot of momentum and often lead up to that great person that we want our kids to be. It's the little things you do every day consistently over time. But I wanted to mention about the issue of pressure so that we go into this discussion with an open mind about what enhancing academic performance should look like for a 21st century child. So I try to put it into categories, and I'm going to start with our babies. So as 0 to 2 year olds, I want to address current issues or challenges that we see with parents, especially first-time parents, and then I'm going to graduate on like that. So for 0 to 2 year olds, how do you enhance academic performance for them? Yes, our babies. Once children are born, their ear gates are open, their eye gates are open. Once they can see, once they can hear, learning has begun. What are the things that you can do to facilitate learning for your baby, 0 to 2 year old? I would say that music is a very powerful tool in the hand of any new parent. The thing is, our children's brains, they come is like a blank canvas. And so you have to activate the neurons that are in there through the exposure. You can say, oh, babies, yes. No, so in music, you have the introduction of sounds. Once they can hear anything, they're already beginning to process. What music does is that they begin very early on to get a sense of sound, to get a sense of organization. In the music there, if it's rhymes, they begin to hear what words sounds like. They begin to hear what blends sounds like. And in the rhyme and in the music there, there's usually words in it. They begin to make a sense of words. And for children between 0 to 2, that's really what you want to focus on, their development of language. We find a lot of our parents today, they do come in all around is a general concern. When we were younger, they say it takes a village to raise a community. But today we're not experiencing that community practice a lot today. So we have mostly nuclear families. You just have the dad and the mom and the child, and you find out that a child has been home for 2 years and probably there's no conversation going on there. So how do you enhance academic performance for 0 to 2 year old? In the music, you have the words. They're getting vocabulary. For example, someone who stammers can be asked to say words, and it will take them a long time to say it. But if you ask them to sing a song, you're going to be very surprised. They can take that song from the beginning to the end without stopping for 1 second. So music does the same thing for our babies. The second thing you want to do to enhance academic performance for 0 to 2 is conversations with the children. Now, one thing new time parents may not know is that we're sometimes waiting for the children to start talking back to us, and then we feel that they're ready for conversation. No. As soon as the child is born, that baby is ready for conversation. So I want to encourage us to talk to our babies. Talk to them, whatever you are doing, you want to establish conversation. Don't pop them up in front of a screen because the screen is not interactive. So what happens is they sit in front of a screen, they get this very beautiful diction and accent that we all love, but it's all internalized. The screen never prompts them for a response. The screen never prompts them to say anything back or to respond. So it's all internalizing. So as a first-time parent, from as early as 3 months, talk to your child. You're feeding that child. Start talking to the child. Say, oh, do you know what I'm eating? Would you like some? If you're bathing the child, talk about the environment, the water, the soap, what you want to do. You're dressing up the child. I'm going to comb your hair. Show them the comb. Say this is a comb. You want to start those conversations very early on. The children are taking it all in. And what you're doing is that you're building that language there. You're building the language development. You're building their vocabulary very early on, and all these things add up. I talk about the little things that you do every day that adds up to the great child that you want to raise. The third thing I'm going to say for this age is to play with your children a whole lot. Play is not just for the babies. I'm going to take it on to the 3 to 5 year olds and on to the 5 to 10 and also the teenagers. Play with your children. For the babies, for them, it's curiosity, is adventure. Bring the element of surprise. Play peekaboo with them. Play things that will make them interested. Water play, bubble bath play, sand play, all kinds of, do role play, pretend to be doctor, pretend to be anything you want to be, but all you're doing is conversation is going on. The child gets prompts to respond, and that builds early language development, and which is important because with language builds into reading. Reading builds into understanding. And once children can comprehend, there is nothing that they cannot begin to learn as far as they can comprehend. The other thing for this age also is you want to consider routines. By routines, I mean your little 2-year-old is going to understand if consistently over time, you have a time where you come and say, okay, this is meal time, we want to eat. And they know that after meal time, next, we're going to have playtime. And after playtime, we're going to have a bath time. And after bath time, we're going to have, mommy's going to read or daddy's going to read a book to me. And they begin also to understand that sense of routine, which, like I said, it all leads up to that enhancing academic performance. They begin to get a sense of time, a sense of organization, a sense of there's time for specific things. Okay, and then quickly, I'm going to move on to ages 3 to 5. Now, in ages 3 to 5, you want to very much begin to establish connection with your children. And by connection, what I mean is our children, especially in the times that we're in today, they need us to be there, to be present for them, to be connected. The children need to know that we are interested in the things that interest them, that we're involved in the things that involve them, that they are loved, that they are accepted. And even if we're busy, a lot of us parents today are really, really busy. It's not in the quantity of time, but is in the quality of time, that time that you make out for them. If it's 5 minutes every day you have, if it's 10 minutes every day you have, but you're interested in the children. The children know that they are loved, they're accepted. They can come to you and they can talk to you about things. And I'm going to explain how this builds into academic performance, because the time spent with children positively builds their self-confidence and it builds their self-esteem. These are things I believe today are important ingredients for enhancing academic performance, because the truth is not all our children are not going to be academic. There are different types of intelligences, but you want to put a foundation, you want to put something in your child that irrespective of the type of intelligence that they have, they are going to thrive and they're going to succeed. And I'm saying having that connection with your children where you make out time, you know each and every one of them, you spend time, you are present, you know their friends, you're involved in their schoolwork, in their homework, you know what they're doing, you know what they like, you know what they don't like. The communication lines are open. We need to be close to our children today. This is very important, and I'm saying this because that report about Nigerian children being the number one children feeling the most pressure globally to succeed, it comes back to issues about mental health with our children. It comes back to things that they are going through, and they're being able to come up to you as a parent and talk to you about it. Say, Mom, I got bullied in school today, or Mom, there's this child, that is troubling me, or I'm having difficulty with this topic. or they need to be able to talk to you. You need to be approachable. You need to be accessible. They need to feel comfortable. You need to build trust with your children. I may be surprising you, but the 21st century child should get, they can't have the same kind of academic um, formulas that we use. It's not going to work for this generation. And whatever you do, you need as a parent to protect your child's mental health, protect your child's self-confidence, protect your child's self-esteem at all costs. It is now a crux of the matter in achieving academic performance because of the age in which we are in. Now, also, that said, you want to look at things like early reading. So it's not too late. That baby, I said you start at 3 months and you're reading to your child every day, every night. You find out by 1, 2, they've got prompts over time. It's a build-up. They're going to begin to read. They're going to begin to babble words. They're going to begin to, and it comes on in there very early. If you're consistent with it, over time. Now, another thing you also need to know for the age 3 to 5 is this. At that age, their personality starts to come out. For a first-time parent, if you do not know, your approach to discipline may be very different. So we need to be conscious of the fact of that time of their personality development. And there's a very thin line between how you're disciplining your children. You want to discipline them in such a way that their self-esteem remains intact. Okay, you want to discipline them in such a way that it does not do any damage to them. They're still able to express themselves. They're still able to tell you what they think. They're still able to tell you how they feel. Now, this is for age 3 to 5, and it's a build-up because having a child who is sound or great academically doesn't happen overnight. You have to be intentional about the things that you're doing deliberately for them. And then you want to have routines for the children, okay, which is what schools thrive on. Every school, in every classroom, there's a timetable, there's a schedule. Every day the children come in on a Monday, on a Tuesday, every school day, they know exactly what they're going to be doing. They know exactly what they're going to be learning and doing at every point in time. And I know we parents who are busy, we may not have all the time to, follow through with the schedule. But for those who can, have a specific schedule, like after school schedule, when the children come home, this is what they do from this time to this time. This is what they do from this time to this time. And it's also not so much as how lengthy it is, but it's more of your consistency in the practice of any skill, consistency in the practice of any habit. Okay, so if they study math after school, you're consistent with it. They touch base with it every other day. If they're learning how to play an instrument, if they're learning how to draw, anything it is that they're doing, it's a game of being consistent over time. You're going to be amazed at the amount of momentum that your children, that you would have gathered if you're consistently learning a particular skill over time. Then you want to play with the 3 to 5 year olds. You want to engage them with all their senses. At this age, they're just beginning to bloom. Like I said, the personality is coming out, their interest is peaking. So you want to expose your children to a varied types of experiences, varied types of adventure. They can do all kinds of play, okay? You can do outdoor play. They can try gardening. They can try art. They can try singing. They can try dancing. They can do taekwondo. You want to go really big on those extracurricular activities, which will bring out sides of your child that the four walls of a classroom, that academics will never bring out. There are several types of intelligences. So you do want to expose your children at age 3 to 5. And as they begin to progress, you want to vary the type of experiences that you give them. And the more experiences children have, the more confident they are to engage with other things, engage with adults, engage with their colleagues. So you want with it, sorry, I said their colleagues, engage with their fellow classmates. So you want to expose your children to as much skill as there is. And a lot of it coming in the form of play. Engage their 5 senses. What do I mean by this? All children don't learn in the same way. Some are very visual, they have to see. Some are, once you say it, they hear it once and they get it. Some other children have to work with their hands, manipulatives. Okay, so you give them things that they're working with. Some other children, they have to draw something. Some other children have to build something. So you want to engage your 3 to 5 year old. And what you're doing is that you are activating neurons in their brain. You're creating a lot of neural pathways. Different parts of their brains are being sensitized. They're becoming aware. Oh, I can do this. Oh, this is possible. Oh, this is possible. I'll give you an example. There's the IO game. I bought it. It's been in my house for years and I've never played it, with my kids. And I've always said, oh, one day I'm going to play this. One day I'm going to play this. And then I went out with the children. We went to have lunch. And then there's this IO game. And I'm thinking, oh, wow, this game has been in my house severally. And we've never gotten to play this game. So over lunch, there and there, we got into the play of the game. And then I started to, it just became about, oh, this is for their age. This is about strategic thinking. So some children, it's chess they're being exposed to. But I found them through the IO game learning strategy, right? So all the skills, life skills are embedded in all of these activities and experiences that you can expose your child to, and you're building your child's confidence. For age 5 to 10, I'm going to come on and land on connection. A child that is loved, a child that feels accepted by the most important person in their life, a child that feels really good about themselves, really confident about themselves, most times will have a very good academic performance. Most of the time. The other thing that is important in age 5 to 10 is role modeling. And by this, I mean leading by example. As a mom and as an educator, I have learned that children do not do what you say, they do what you do. So you can tell them whatever you want to tell them from morning till night. As far as you are saying it, they didn't hear it. It's only what you do that your child is going to do. And so in the 21st century, and it's something that has been on there throughout parenting for all these ages, but personally, I'm just coming to this awareness and this realization that role modeling, being a parent, is a big deal. What you do is what your children are going to do. Exactly that. So anything you're telling them, if you are disciplined, they're going to see, because they live with you. So we go to work and we give our best shot at work. We do our best. Our colleagues see our best sides, but our children are home with us. They see our weaknesses, they see our strengths, they see our struggles, they see our challenges. And it's not for us to deny that our struggles and our challenges are not there, but they're watching to see how we are responding to it, how we are reacting to it, how we are resolving our own issues and our own struggles. And that's exactly what they're going to do. So if you are a disciplined parent, you have good work ethic, your children are most likely going to have a good work ethic. If you are organized, they're most likely going to be they're most likely going to be organized. If whatever it is you're doing, they're looking at us, they're watching, they go to the University of Parenting. That's all they do all their lives. For 18 years, they're studying you. When you move like this, they know. They're watching your face. That's what they study for a whole 18 years. How to relate to you, how to respond to you. So role modeling is critical to enhancing academic performances. If we're asking our children to do better, what are we modeling for them? What vision do we have? You want them to have great and big, mighty visions. How are you executing your own vision? You have your vision. How are you executing they're seeing how you're going about doing your own things. Now, also for age 5 to 10, you need to explore varied types of learners. I think I mentioned this before. Children learn differently. You want to enhance academic performance. You can't say you're only going to talk to that child. And what if the child, doesn't get it when they hear? Some children are not auditorily strong, which is what the music and audio story books played can do for your children very early on, 0 to 3. It makes them to focus, where they have to listen to hear what is being said in the music. They have to listen to hear what is being said in the story. Very types of learners. What do I mean by varied types of learners? All children will not learn a concept just because somebody said it once. No, you want to present that concept in multisensorial. That is, you're introducing that concept in different ways. Which is some of what we practice at the Future Trove School. You want to teach a concept, right? The children are going to sing about it. They're going to draw about it. They're probably going to build if it's something they can build. If it's a concept, you can translate addition. You want to teach the children addition. Hey, the setting of that addition class can be underwater. It can be under the sea. You want to teach them subtraction. It can be they're dipping their hands inside the sea and they're bringing out sea animals, and it's an addition lesson going on. You can take your literacy lessons outside. Literacy lessons can hold underwater. So for this age, don't say, oh, I told my child, they didn't hear. You told them the first, second. That may not be how the child learns. So you want to get that child in the visual space where that concept is introduced visually. You want to get that child in the kinesthetic space where they're learning that same concept, and maybe they need to move things around for them to understand it. For some other children, maybe they themselves have to be the objects that are moving in order for them to understand the concept. For some other children, those who like games, there are loads of gaming activities online, which you can just go on there and search, and you're going to find it. What that does is that the learning becomes internalized for the children. By the time they have explored that concept in all of these dimensions, that learning is going to be internalized. It's going to be solid. So the person who didn't get it by hearing will get it when they draw it. The person who didn't get it by the drawing will get it when they see it. The person who didn't get it visually will get it when they build it. The person who didn't get it visually will get it when they move manipulatives, when they move objects around. So this is very critical. I don't want you to sit on that child. Find different ways. There are different ways of teaching the same concept to a child in the way that the child will understand it. Very, very important to enhance academic performance of your children. You also want to establish very good routines and very good study habits early on. Like I said, with everything, it's consistency. It's consistency. You want to learn how to play an instrument. It's not something they do once. So I see the summer camps and all of those things that go on. If it's a lifelong skill, if it's something you want them to do all of their lives, it's not something you do for a week, you do for a month, and you leave it alone. It's something that you're going to be doing consistently over time, and then you see the results, and then you see the outcomes of what you are doing. Now, by routines, you also can establish good study habits, which is where routine comes in. And for the older children, 5 to 10, really helping them to have those schedules, things they do at specific times of the day. Like I said, also, I am considerate, yes, of our parents who are busy, some of us who have to work and who may not be there. I don't want you to feel bad at all or feel guilty about that, but I want you, if it's 30 minutes you have with your child, break that 30 minutes down into time for connection, time for bonding. Find time to take a daily download. Be involved with your children's lives. It is the most important thing to me right now in the 21st century than even their academic performance. You must know what is going on with your children. Okay, I know I was talking about routines and establishing good habits, but okay, I've come right back to this. The reason is this also, most of us, we have teenagers. And if you've started early to build a good relationship with your children from when they are small, age 5 to 10, okay, it's likely that that relationship is going to carry on into the teenage years, which are the very difficult years where they start to close up, where they start to show you that they have a mind of their own and that you're just God's steward. They get to that point where you're trying to influence their decisions, and is a little too late if you have, if there have been issues in your relationship or how you've related with them between the ages of 5 and between the ages of 10. So you want to build that close connection with your children well before they get into the teenage age. For me, enhancing academic performance for a teenager is not so much as, oh, they have to study. Yes, that's important. But the relationship is important because by teenage age, most things have already kicked in for children, right? They already have a sense of who they are going to become in life, what they want to be, who they want to be. So, what they do need at this time is that you, for those of us who still have the opportunity, build that relationship with your children well before they become teenagers. If you are able to influence them, and by that I mean that they trust you, okay? They listen to you. They listen to what you have to tell them. They believe that you have their best interest at heart. When they get to the teenage age, it's not likely that the voices of their peers will be stronger than the voice of their parents in their head. So, enhancing academic performance for a teenager, I'm going to say, first of all, give them solid family values. Solid family values, which you've started to build already, even from their primary age, between 5 and 10. Let them know who you are as a family. Define what your family stands for. Define your family values. Let them know we stand for excellence, or we are honest people, we are kind people, we have integrity, we do not tolerate this, we don't accept this, this is who we are. You want to put in that family values, and it comes by you also practicing it, which brings me back to role modeling for the teenagers. Establish your family values. You need to give your children a vision early too of who they can become and what they can become in life. You need to build influence. Influence means that you are getting your children to listen, you're getting them to obey you, they listen to you, not because you're beating them or because you're hitting them, but because you've gained their trust, because they respect you and you also respect them back. You want to build that, have that self-confidence and self-esteem even in your teenagers, where they believe in themselves, where they are confident in themselves, where they know who they are. Because the challenge with the teenage age is often peer pressure, the influence. There's a lot of distractions. So you do want to do a lot of work between the 5 years and the 10 years, in 11, 12 years, those formative stages. Build that relationship on time, so that as a teenager, when they talk to you, they will listen to you. You will be the strongest voice in their head. And that, I believe, is what I will really say for enhancing academic performance. Everybody already knows basically what to do with their children. I want to say generally, we know, there's the coding. Yes, if you want to be a techie, we basically all know, most parents, by the time your child is getting to primary school or the secondary and getting to the university, you already begun to think what the challenge with that age is: a distraction and the peer pressure, and the discipline of staying through with what they have to do in spite of everything that is going on around them. It's not something you start building in their teenage age. It's something that you've been doing with them consistently. So you really need to be intentional about what you do with the children. You need to be intentional about how you're disciplining them so that it doesn't strain the relationship. You need to be intentional about their self-esteem and their self-confidence being intact. So there's so much going on in our world today, and you want to raise strong children. It is easier to build a strong child than to repair a broken adult. So yes, I'm going to take a break. I think my time is almost up. But yes, what you require to enhance academic performance for the 21st century child is a little different from what we used to have. Okay, all right. I'm looking at my time. I don't want to overshoot. Mrs. Sandra Oluwadare, are you there? We can take any questions now. I am ready.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you for all that you have shared, but you haven't exhausted the time yet. You still have Yeah, you still have about 10 minutes before I
Oh, I do.
pop in.
Oh, okay, right. I
Yes.
thought it was 40 minutes and then we go to questions and answers. Okay.
Okay. Let me just put it out there. So if you are listening right now, I know that lots of parents are going to get onto the replay. But if you're here right now and you have a question for our guests, I want you to please post your questions in the comment section, and um, our guests will get to them. Okay, if you have a question, please share your questions in the comment section and our guests will get to them. Okay, ma'am. So while we wait for the questions, please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So I also want to say that even though our topic is academic performance, I also want to put it out there. All children will not be academically gifted. And as a parent, you need to open your mind to the fact that um, there are other intelligences that are out there in the world. We have there's a theory of multiple intelligences by Howard Gardner. He's a professor at the University of Harvard, which says that there are different types of intelligences. You have linguistic intelligence, you have artistic intelligence, you have interpersonal intelligence, you have intrapersonal intelligence, you have spatial intelligence, you have artistic intelligence. I think he has like 7 different categories there. So all our children will not be academically inclined. So as much as we want them to ace the academics, yes, but I'm also saying let's strike a balance between the push that we're giving our children because of the times that they are living in. You also want to explore. Like, I'm really totally proud of the Nigerian youth, the young people. There's so much creativity, there's so much dynamism in our world today. You want to nurture your child's interest. If they come to you and say, oh, they like to cook, they really like to cook, nurture that interest. They may not be doing well academically, but you want to focus on what your children's strengths are. What are their strengths beyond the academics? If you have an academic child, things you need to do for them is, and of course for all children, is to have routines, to have some form of discipline, because like I said, it's not going to be a one-off thing. It's something that you do consistently with your children. So if your child comes up and says, oh, I like to draw, you're still going to be supportive of them in their academic work, but pay attention to their other interests, their other skills, their other giftings. Look for who can nurture it. Look for platforms that can nurture it, platforms that can enhance it. All children are not academically gifted. And I think also parents need to hear that. The other thing also is that a lot of us parents today, we've had the kind of journey that we have had. We have our own ambitions. We have our own, who we want to be, what we want to become, and all of those things. But ambition and drive and motivation is not organic. It does not translate automatically that just because you're a high flying, achieving person, that your child cannot be that aspirational or not that interested or not. It's very possible. Those things are things that you build into yourself over time. So early on, the babies, the 2-year-olds, the 3-year-olds, we are mirroring ourselves with them, who we are, forgetting that it probably took us 30 years or 25 years or 35 years to get to where we are today. And children as little as 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and they are coming under this kind of pressure because you expect them to be delivering at your level, but we've forgotten our own journey and how long it took us to get to where we are. So for me, it is a big thing because yesterday was World Mental Health Day, and that UNICEF report, yes, we need to take it easy on the pressure on our children. find the balance, find the balance, find the balance in there. They won't all be academically gifted. Nurture their other skills, nurture their other giftings, nurture their other talents. And anything that is academic that they're good at, that they're already doing, what you need to do is you be a good role model for them. You are doing it and they can see you doing it, they will start to do it. You stay connected with your children, focus on building a good relationship with them, where the most important person in their life values them, accepts them, um, be involved in their lives, know their friends, be interested in their homework, be supportive of the school, be supportive of the teachers. If they see that you're interested as a parent, they'll be interested. If they see that you don't care, you don't check on anything, they're also going to lose interest in it. So you be that role model, you be that supportive parent, you be that parent who is close to their child. What is most important in this generation is that your children can talk to you. I place that as number one in enhancing academic performance. All
Wow.
right.
Whew, that was a lot, a lot to unpack, really. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so before I go on to say a few things, we have a couple of questions here. Uh, Stella says, what advice do you have for one raising multilingual children, especially in their early stage of learning? What advice do you have for one raising multilingual children, especially their early stage of learning?
Fantastic. If you're doing that, that's absolutely brilliant. For the purpose of this discussion, it's a very big way to raise children's academic performance. If your child can speak one, two, three, four, as many languages as possible, that's it's brain development, right? That's what you're doing. Is brain development, is capacity building, increases their ability to process, their ability to reason, switching from one language to the other. It's just like a young child also who learns how to play an instrument. That child will most likely be very mathematical, because there's a lot of addition, there's a lot of computation and rhythm and beat and numbers and sequences in playing a music instrument. So you're doing really great if your children are multilingual. That's fantastic. And that they also have the capacity for it, which if you start early on, they usually have that capacity. When they're 5 years and underneath, their brain is still tender, it's still adjustable. There's so much, a lot of all that you need to do with your children in terms of creating interest, creating developing skills, all of that. You should do that under 5 years. At that time, their brains can take a lot of things. Well done.
Thank you, ma'am. So we have another question. It says, okay, that's from Eudora. In this era of wanting our kids to be good in almost everything, how do we know where to draw the line so that they are not overwhelmed? I know that a lot of parents will be interested in this question because we want them to learn everything. We overschedule them, do this, go for this class and all of that. So this is a question, in fact, for every parent. All right. So how do we know where to draw the line so that they are not overwhelmed?
Okay, so under 5 years, they can practically take anything, which is why the early years development stage of your child's life is key. That's when you want to explore, try everything. And, at that age, it's mostly fun and it's playful for them. But as they get into primary school, it gets serious. The academic heat turns on and it almost wants to snuff out all their life interests and all that. So you need to be intentional about balancing it. Now, how many things can they possibly do at a time? They go to school, they come back, school closes at 2, 2:30, 3:30, they're home by 4. They just have maybe like 3 hours. They have to do homework. Sometimes we have a tutor come in. And then, so where do they have the time for all of this? So depending on the age of your child, what I would like you to do is ask your children, What are your interests? Like I said, if you have time, if you're a new parent, you have time to explore, try different things with your kids. But as they're getting into primary school, you're going to begin to see the things that come naturally to them. The ones that like to draw, they're always drawing. The ones that like to perform, they're always performing. The fashionistas, when they arrange the clothes together, you as an adult, you wouldn't even figure it out. They're going to be showing you those things consistently over time if you are there and you are watching and you're interested. So you just want to eventually narrow it down to what maybe their top 3 or top 4 strengths are. Because if you dissipate yourself all around everywhere, you may lose focus and you may not be able to come out of it with one tangible thing. So if you want to narrow it down, what are their top 3 things or top 4 things that they really like to do that comes easily to them, comes naturally? If it's swimming, if it's instrument training, if it's public speaking, if they're good presenters, you just want to have some kind of focus, right? So that you're not all over the place. And so I talked about building momentum. You can't really do that in all of these things. You don't want them to be jack of all trades and master of none. You want them to gain mastery in those areas of their interests. So ask your child, what are your top 3 interests? And just focus on those 3 or 4.
Thank you very much for that beautiful answer. Thank you, ma'am. So we have another question, and Natty Cooks says, how best does one channel the hyperactivity of a 2-year-old into a positive performance skill? And she continued the question. She says, especially as he's yet to communicate with you, the parent.
Okay, so yes, our 2-year-olds are very energetic. They're very, very energetic. And oh yes,
Oh
so
my God.
depending, you want to keep them engaged.
Hmm.
Depends on how much time you have. Is the child at home? Are they in school already? What you can do is to have a plan, right, of what they. I talked about schedules and routines and the things that they do. So if you don't have any activity for them, usually they say an idle, mind is. So usually when children are not doing anything, they're totally bored. They're going to take the whole house. They're going to take everything down. They're going to tear everything apart. They'll make a
Yeah.
big mighty mess. So you want to kind
Mhm.
of coordinate all that energy into um, focused activity for them. So a typical 2-year-old will enjoy water play. A typical 2-year-old will enjoy running around in the garden. If you have space, let them go out, go on a walk. So what it is that the energy is much, and uh, they need they just need to let out that energy. So you can have they like to draw, they like to color. Give them pens. Sorry, I said pens. Give them crayons and have paper. Basically, you want to have a schedule. So today after school, what are they going to do? Today, are we going to draw and color? Tomorrow, are we going to do some sensorial play so that you get them to feel textures and things like that. They can have a session where they're on screen. If it's something educational, so maybe they're learning numbers or sounds or colors or shapes or things like that, they can be in front of the screen. But screen time, really, I don't advise, because you want to do prompts with them. For the 2-year-old, you do have to be hands on. They can do role play. You can play or pretend doctor, pretend this, pretend that. Really, what you want to do is foster a lot of conversations with your 2-year-old just by engaging them with activities. So there are several activities. You just want to have it organized, what you do on a daily basis. Maybe 2 things you do on a daily basis with them to keep that energy going. And if
Wow.
you can get them to run
Yes.
outside. I know that energy. They need to,
Yes.
they need to let it out.
Yes.
Yeah, they need to. So play, 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 play. That's the work of a 2-year-old. Play, 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 play. Let them play. Some days, let them make the mess. You can bring out old bed sheets. Say today is mess day. Yes. give them the color and the paint and let them go all over the old bed sheet, put their hand palm prints all over it, and they're learning, they're looking at cause and effects. They dab, they touch it, they're like, oh wow. For them it's exploring, it's curiosity, they're trying to discover. It's the age of discovery. You can't really contain that energy. So it's having what you plan that they can do on a daily basis, to help them burn out all of that energy. Yes. The other thing about that age also is that they, because they're not fully verbal, those who they can't really communicate, they do have a lot of things going on they can't tell you. And so in that frustration,
Yeah.
that's when you see the tantrums. They're frustrated at their inability to communicate how they're feeling on the inside, right? So there are lots of things you can do to manage that. Sometimes it's they're hungry, sometimes they're wet, sometimes they do that, they get into those tantrums for different reasons, but most of it is really the inability to express how they're feeling on the inside, to let you know what it is that they actually want to do at that time. And then when they're happy and they're fed, and then it's this other kind of energy that they have.
Yeah.
Play for that age
Yes.
until all the energy goes out and they sleep.
Oh my God. Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bob. And, you said play is actually how these children, it's one of the major ways they can really express themselves, because the energy is there and this energy has to be dissipated somehow. So, in fact, if you have a child who's just seated and is not active, that is even a prayer point in this
Something
part
is
of the world that we're
tearing
in,
up.
especially. So children are meant to be active. Like, if you have a child who is not, all over the place, especially at that age, it becomes a concern. And again, we also need to understand that, like you said, play is therapy, so they are able to also build themselves in the moments of play. And funny enough, us parents, we try to take the childhood away from our children because we feel they're making so much mess. They're all over the place, jumping everywhere, climbing all the windows. But that's what makes them children. And you said something very profound. The kind of expectations we have for our children sometimes is very unrealistic. You said we had to take time to learn a couple of skills. We had to, come out of certain things that we were into, while we were growing up. Some people had to unpack the trauma, they came into parenthood with. We had to
A
do
whole
a
lot.
lot to mature and get to where we are. So how do we expect 2-year-olds, 3, 4, 5-year-olds to start behaving like ladies and gentlemen? I mean, we need to not take their childhood from them. And you said
That, that
something really beautiful. You said, have mess day. Put an old bed sheet out there. Let them make a mess. Those things are actually building different areas of their brains. They are developing different areas of their brains. And for example, we have children who want to write on the walls. They want to, put their palms on the walls. If it's a problem to you as a parent, you can just have a section of the wall where, you can tape art paper to that part of the wall and say, okay, you can do what you have to do here. But for us to say we don't want our children to do all of those things, we want them to be prim and proper. Oh my God, that is so unrealistic and so unfair. So while
yeah.
we are, trying to get our children exposed to all those things that will build them up, and help them meet or hit their developmental milestones, we need to also ensure that we are not taking their childhood away from them. We need to let them be the children that they are. And like you said, as time goes on, that energy, they will know how to channel it best. by the time their workload in school begins to increase, in fact, you don't even need to tell them in all cases that they need to. For example, my son who was in year one, automatically when he got to year two, he knew that the workload had increased. So some things
Yeah,
had to
made
be
the
cut out.
adjustment.
So if we begin to hammer on them at this age where they are still very young, then it means we are taking so much out of them, because shortly they are going to get into that age where they know what to do. So it's been so okay. Somebody said right on the wall scare. Yes, some children. It even happened to me when my children were still much younger. There was a time we painted the house, and like 2 days later, there was a long pencil line on the wall. I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
going to kill
they
her. I'm
love,
not
they
going to
love,
throw her.
they love the fresh walls. They love the smell of
Yes,
fresh
yeah,
paint.
they love freshly painted walls. So we know that these things are inevitable. We should just prepare the scene for them. We should prepare the atmosphere for them so that they can
Should
thrive.
facilitate. Yeah.
Exactly, while they learn. And that's why I really appreciate schools who take these things into consideration. We know that, okay, there's a time to have sensory play. So we have all the sensory stuff set out for the children. We are preparing the environment, we're setting the scene for them to be the best they can be. Someone said, no need to let them jump on the bed with the bed sheet while singing nursery rhyme. No more babies jumping on the bed. Jumping on the bed, jumping on the bed.
Please let
Okay, I
them,
get
please
you.
let them jump
Oh,
safely.
yes, yes, yes. And then while you were speaking, somebody said, Eudora said, screen error 101. Screen time has eaten to the productive time, that parents should spend with their children. This one is, in fact, we can't underestimate the damage that too much screen time is causing today.
Yes,
And
I want to say particularly for the 2 years and underneath, the screen doesn't talk back. It's become a huge problem where at 3 they're not meeting their milestones. They just have a few, one or two words. The screen is not interactive, so conversation is two-way. They only know to take in. They only know to take in. It doesn't prompt them to speak back. It doesn't prompt them. So real life conversations are better for that age. Really, really, and even for the older ones, that connection is everything. Is everything. Is everything.
Wow, thank you so much, ma'am. It's been such an insightful session. I have learned a lot myself. Thank you very much. And I believe our parents listening and those that would get to the replay later would also attest to the fact that it's been very expository. Thank you so much, ma'am. So good to have you with us. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to share premium value with us. We really appreciate you. Thank you. So I'm going to leave her Instagram handles on the screen. Please go follow her. She has a very beautiful school in Lekki Phase 1, the Future Trove School. I mean, it's a beautiful school. Yes. When you see the school, you know that these people understand the assignment. Thank you very much, ma'am. It
All
was
right.
so good
Thank
to
you
have
so
you.
much. Thank you so much. I also want to appreciate you for the work that you're doing at Winning in Parenting. It's an amazing work. Thank you, and God bless you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much, ma'am. All right. So let me release you. Thank you very much. Wow. Thank you so much, dear parents, for joining this session. It was so good. I mean, so many takeaways. Um, we can't say this too much that the relationship you can't build with your children when they are young, we really have no business looking for that relationship when they have become teenagers. And it's better late than never. Okay, so no matter the age of your child at this moment, if connection is still a problem or a challenge, let us try to get to it. Let's try to build that connection. We heard our guests say so much about that, children who have that connection with their parents would they're very much more likely to do better in their academics. And that's actually the springboard. That's where it all begins. When there's no connection, it's like there's no basic. It's the foundation basically. So when there's no connection, there's nothing you are building on. You are just there doing your own thing. The child is in another world entirely. And there's always a fracas. There's always something causing problems because that unifying factor, which is your connection, has not been worked on. So I will leave us with that before we go into the next session. In few minutes, let's work on our connection with our children. Thank you so much for joining. Please share this video. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do, and tap the notification bell so that you can get reminders when we're about to go live for any session. Thank you so much. I'll see you at 7:45 p.m. We're going to be talking about Rayo, that's Lagos housewife. If you know her, then you understand what I'm talking about. We're going to be talking about how you can raise a healthy family in today's world. In today's world, we know so many things that are happening. Fast food. No, let me not use that expression. I don't want to sound rude, but we know that this is a fast-paced generation where so many things, we are just doing so many things. And so we want to take time out to really understand how we can actually create a framework that can help us raise a healthy family as regards what goes on in our kitchen. So Lagos housewife will be here at 7:45. Please come back into the next session. I hope to see you there. Please share the video and get other people to come join us as well. Thank you so much. I love and I appreciate you all.
There's an outpouring of abundance, New doors have been opened. The land, it is green. A new grace has been released. The glory of the latter is greater than the former. The blessing is here. It's all here. Lift up your hands, come on. The glory of the latter is greater than the former. The blessing is here. It's all here. All here. There's an overflow. Abundance of
Should I end it?